My girlfriend said, "You need to quit your band. It's embarrassing watching you chase a dead dream at 29. I'd just been offered an opening slot for a major tour. I said, "You're probably right." Then I accepted the tour, quit my day job, and blocked her number. I, 29M, have spent the last 7 years of my life living a double existence. By day, I was a mid-level marketing coordinator for a firm that specialized in brand synergy, which is basically a fancy way of saying I spent 40 hours a week making spreadsheets about things I didn't care about. By night, I was a lead guitarist and songwriter for a band that played every sticky floor dive bar from here to the coast. My girlfriend, 27F, had been with me for 4 of those years. In the beginning, she loved the musician vibe. She thought it was edgy, but as we crawled toward 30, that edge started feeling a lot like a burden to her. She's a high-level account executive, the kind of person who plans her life in 5-year increments and measures success by the brand of handbag she's carrying. Lately, every time I picked up my guitar, she looked at me like I was playing with a pile of trash. The breaking point happened on a Tuesday night. I just walked through the door after a grueling rehearsal. We'd been working on a new set because our manager had hinted that some very big doors were about to open. I was buzzing with energy, but the second I stepped into the kitchen, the air turned to ice. She was sitting there with her laptop open, and she'd printed out our bank statements and my personal tax filings from the last 3 years. "We need to talk," she said. "No, hey. No, how was your day?" Just that flat, corporate tone she used when she was about to fire an intern. I've been looking at the numbers. Last year, you spent nearly $5,000 on a new amp, pedals, and repairs to that hunk of junk van you guys drive. You brought home exactly $840 in gig payouts. Do you see the problem here? It's an investment, I told her, trying to keep my voice steady. The band is growing. Our streaming numbers are up. "It's a hobby," she snapped, standing up. "It's a dead dream, and it's embarrassing. We go to dinner with my colleagues, and they talk about their portfolios and their promotions, and I have to sit there while you talk about getting the right tone for a song that maybe 50 people will hear in a basement. You're 29. It's pathetic watching you chase this. You need to quit the band, sell the gear, and actually commit to your career at the firm. Otherwise, I don't see a future for us." I looked at her, and for the first time, I didn't see the woman I loved. I saw a stranger who was trying to prune away the only part of me that felt alive. What she didn't know, because I was waiting for our anniversary dinner on Friday to tell her, was that the big door had already opened. That morning, I'd signed the final digital contract. My band had been selected as the primary opening act for a 35-city North American stadium tour for one of the biggest rock legends on the planet. The signing bonus alone was $60,000. But as she stood there looking at me with pure, unadulterated contempt, I realized something. If I told her then, she'd suddenly be supportive. She'd want to be the rock star's girlfriend. She'd want a piece of the success she'd just spent 20 minutes mocking. "You're probably right," I said. My voice was quiet, almost a whisper. She looked surprised, her face softening into the smug, victorious glow. "I'm glad you finally see it. It's the best, babe. We can finally start our real life." "Yeah," I said, "our real life." I went into the bedroom and packed a large suitcase. I told her I was going to stay at my brother's place for a week to clear my head and handle the painful process of breaking the news to the guys and selling my equipment. She actually hugged me, a warm, condescending hug, and told me she was proud of me for growing up. The minute I got to my brother's, I didn't process anything. I went to work. First, I called my boss at the marketing firm. I'd been there 5 years and had 3 weeks of unused vacation time. I told him I was resigning effective immediately. He was shocked, but I didn't care. The tour started in a month, and we had 6-day-a-week rehearsals starting the next morning. Then I sat down and did the most satisfying thing I've ever done. I blocked her. I blocked her on my phone, her Instagram, her TikTok, her LinkedIn. I blocked her mother, her sisters, and her 3 best friends, who always looked at my boots like they were covered in dirt. I vanished from her digital world entirely. I moved my remaining gear out of our shared apartment the next day while she was at work. I'd already talked to the landlord. "See, Here's where the interconnected plot gets interesting. I've been paying my half of the rent into a joint house account for 3 years. She was supposed to be the one actually cutting the checks to the landlord because she liked the organization of it. When I called the landlord to tell him I was moving out and needed my name off the lease, he got very quiet. "Son," he said, "I don't know how to tell you this, but I haven't received a full rent payment in 4 months. I was about to start the formal eviction process this Friday." I felt the blood drain from my face. "What?" "I've been transferring $2,500 a month into that account." "Well, it's not coming to me," he said. I did some digging. It turns out my responsible girlfriend had developed a bit of a lifestyle inflation problem. She'd been using the rent money to fund a secret shopping habit and pay off high-interest loans she'd taken out to look executive enough for her firm. She'd been gambling that I'd eventually get a promotion or she'd get a bonus to cover the hole before I noticed. She wanted to quit the band because she needed me to work more overtime to cover her tracks. I made a deal with the landlord. I paid him the back rent out of my tour signing bonus on the condition that he'd remove me from the lease immediately and proceed with the eviction against her and her alone. Since she was the one who had signed the payment responsibility addendum, he agreed. For the next month, I lived in a rehearsal studio. We went completely dark. No social media, no announcements. The headlining act wanted a shock drop for the tour lineup. I practiced until my fingers had permanent calluses. I felt lighter than I had in years. The day of the tour announcement arrived. The headliner posted the official poster to their 40 million followers. My band's name was right there, second line, in a font so big I could see it from space. Billboard ran an article. From dive bars to stadiums, the meteoric rise of the year's most anti-opted opener. My phone, the one with a new number I'd only given to my family and the band, stayed silent. But I heard through my brother that my ex was losing her mind. She'd been telling everyone for weeks that I'd given up my childish dreams to focus on her. Now, she was looking like a fool in front of the very social circle she valued more than my happiness. The first show of the tour was in our home city, a sold-out arena, 18,000 people. I was standing in the darkness behind the curtain, feeling the floor vibrate from the crowd's chanting. My manager came up to me, looking worried. "Hey, we got a situation at the VIP entrance," he said. "There's a woman and her mother claiming they're on the permanent guest list. They're saying they're your management team and that they have a legal right to be in the hospitality suite. The daughter is making a huge scene, say you stole the money for this tour from her savings." I looked at the security feed on the manager's tablet. There she was. She was wearing a dress that probably cost more than my first car, screaming at a 19-year-old security guard. Her mother was right behind her, filming the whole thing on her phone and threatening to sue the venue for emotional distress. "Let them in," I said. The manager blinked. "You sure? They look like they're ready to start a riot." "Don't let them backstage," I said. "Put them in the very front row of the pit, right against the barricade. I want them to have the best view in the house." I walked out onto that stage, and the sound was like a physical wall hitting me. It was glorious. I played like a man possessed. About 3 songs in, I finally looked down. There she was, less than 5 feet away. When our eyes met, she didn't look angry anymore. She did that terrifying thing entitled people do. She pivoted. She started smiling, blowing kisses, and pointing at me while talking to people around her. I could literally read her lips. "That's my fiancé. That's my man." She actually thought that because I was successful now, the quit your dream conversation was just a little misunderstanding we'd laugh about at the after party. I didn't smile back. I didn't even acknowledge she was a human being. During the bridge of our biggest song, I walked right to the edge of the stage, directly in front of her. She reached her hands up, expecting me to touch them or toss her a pick. I looked her dead in the eye, turned around, and shook my head at the drummer. We went into a heavy, aggressive breakdown, and I spent the rest of the song playing to the other side of the arena. When the set ended, I didn't go to the after party. I went to the production office. I had a guy waiting there, a process server I'd hired through my new legal team. "Is it done?" I asked. "Just waiting for your signal," he said. I walked out to the floor of the arena. The headliner was about to go on, so the lights were dimmed, but the VIP area was still crowded. I walked up to the barricade, flanked by two of the biggest security guys on the tour. My ex saw me coming and practically vibrated with excitement. "Oh my God, babe, that was incredible. I always knew you had it in you. I was just being hard on you to push you to this level. You see that now, right? We need to get the bags to the bus. I've already told my mom we're going to the Vegas date with you." "You're not going anywhere," I said. My voice was amplified by the fact that the crowd near the front had gone quiet, trying to eavesdrop. The process server stepped forward and handed her a thick manila envelope. "What is this?" she asked, her smile faltering. "That's a formal lawsuit for the $62,000 in lifestyle expenses and unauthorized credit card charges you racked up in my name over the last 2 years," I said. "And the second set of papers is a criminal summons. Since you were transferring money out of our house account into a private account to pay off your personal debts while telling me the rent was paid. That's wire fraud and grand larceny." Her mother shoved her way forward, her face purple with rage. "You can't do this. We supported you when you were a nobody. You owe us this life. You're only here because she gave you a stable home to live in." "A stable home?" I laughed. "The landlord is standing right over there with the sheriff's deputy. They're serving the final eviction notice for the apartment tonight. All your designer clothes and executive furniture are currently being moved into the street because the locks were changed 2 hours ago." The look on her face was better than any standing ovation. The entitlement just crumbled. She realized that her plan to use me as a financial safety net while mocking my soul had backfired in the most public way possible. "You can't leave me with nothing," she shrieked. "I've been telling everyone at work that we're moving to LA for your music. If I get evicted, I'll lose my job. They have a morality clause. Maybe you should have thought about that before you stole $20,000 of my rent money to buy Gucci bags," I said. "Security, please remove these two. They don't have tickets for this show. They were guests of a man who no longer knows them." The crowd actually cheered as security escorted them out. It turns out people in the front row of a rock concert don't really like entitled people who scream at security guards. The legal process was long, but when you have the money for a lawyer who actually enjoys their job, it's a lot easier. Because the records clearly showed she was the only one with access to the house account password, and the transfers were made to her personal creditors. It was a joint decision defense didn't hold up in court. In our state, when you intentionally deceive a domestic partner to misappropriate funds for personal gain, it's not just a civil matter, it's criminal. She was hit with a felony fraud charge. To avoid jail time, she had to agree to a massive restitution plan. Her high-flying career at the marketing firm ended the moment the news of the arrest hit the local business journals. They didn't want a thief handling their clients' accounts. Her mother had to pull from a retirement fund to keep them both from being homeless, and they're currently living in a cramped 2-bedroom flat in a part of town she used called the slums. As for me, the tour was a massive success. We're currently in the middle of recording our second album in a studio that overlooks the ocean. I don't check my blocked folder, but every now and then a new burner account will try to message me on Instagram, telling me how sorry she is and how she always believed in me. I just hit delete. I learned that some people don't love you. They love the version of you that fits into their plan. And if you don't fit, they'll try to break you until you do. My advice? Don't let them. Let them keep their real life and their synergy. I'll keep my dead dream. It's never felt more alive. If you like stories where the embarrassing musician ends up owning the stage in the courtroom, hit that subscribe button. I promise the next set is even louder.